All right, everybody, welcome back to Recliner Sports Talk, episode 9. My name's Nick.
I'm Brandon.
I'm Zach.
Another great week of sports. We had our World Series champs, which we're going to start off with Zach, okay? The Atlanta Braves, best division in baseball, the NL East. If you didn't know, now you do. Then we're going to talk about first-year NFL head coaches, especially this year. There's a lot of them, and the wins are tough to come by. Then we're going to talk about how bad, at least that's my opinion, how bad the college football playoff committee is. But Zach, take it away. Your Atlanta Braves World Series champs.
Man, very excited. Super excited for Freddie Freeman. Definitely a dude I think who deserves it. I think he's a guy that I think all around the league is respected by fans and the players. He's an awesome watch, man. He struggled the first series against the Brewers. Struggled early in the Dodgers series, but really turned it on. And then his last at bat, which could be his last at bat as a Brave, but his last at bat in the World Series is a home run. I mean, absolute bomb. The Astros really weren't in it at all that game, the last game, and it just felt good to see get off to a hot start. And Jorge Soler has been amazing. I mean, what an amazing pickup. The power that he had. The Cubs gave up on him early when went to the Royals, was just kind of average, not a big power dude, or that was all he would do, and there was nothing much to him. But he came to us, man. He played great defense and offense. All of those pickups, though. I think the biggest stat that jumped out to me was Austin Riley, Dansby Swanson, Freddie Freeman, and Ozzie Albies played 193 games, including spring training, out of 206 games. That is incredible. And that's your core. And that's your core, hopefully, moving forward. I do think a deal will get done with Freddie Freeman, but that's how you win right there. Those guys were on the field every game. Yeah. And that's an important part of the Braves. They stayed healthy. With their core guys, they got good pickups at the deadline. That game was awesome. Max Fried had a lot to prove because he was getting a lot of doubt from the fans. Fans didn't even want him to pitch that game. He comes out, he's lights out after his ankle gets stepped on by Michael Brantley, which I played first base in high school. I got stepped on one time, and it hurts. Like I don't know how he was able to be on top of his game after getting that foot stepped on. Especially with a pro runner running down hard 90, right? Cleats right on the Achilles part of the heel, just unbelievable. But, just excited to be a Braves fan. It's been a long time. There's been a lot of good teams, and you almost get there, but you always fall a game short. Or last year being 3-1 on the Dodgers and losing, and then the Dodgers going to win the World Series. I thought last year was the team. I really did. Marcell Ozuna, we had 3 guys in the top 5 for MVP voting. Like unheard of. And then, we fell apart going up 3-1. So it was just so excited to be a Braves fan. So exciting for the franchise.
Yeah. I remember saying on here that I thought Houston would win. After that was a game 5 loss where they're up 4-0. The fact that they were able to come out the next game and dominate like that, I did not see that coming. And you know what? The Braves obviously had to rebuild their team in ways. When you lose Ozuna, you lose Acuna to injury there. They had
Roca.
Roca too. You guys had great pickups there, and it's crazy. Charlie Morton, I know he gets hurt there on another big playoff push team. I remember having a conversation about that 2 years ago. He is a playoff machine. It sucks. And look, so they lose him too and still win. So that's a real impressive part, especially with knocking out the Dodgers, 106-win Dodgers. There was 2 100-win teams in the playoffs, and they don't make it to the World Series. And then obviously this 86-win regular season team gets it done. So congrats to the Braves. Brandon?
I think besides the elite, meaning like the top 10 players in the league, I don't think there's as big a gap as you think between like all-star guys and like slightly below average guys. We saw it. Jorge Soler, his entire career is nothing special. Jock Peterson, nothing special. Like if you really look into these guys, not that good. But like I said, like outside of the very elite guys, I would not spend my money on average to above average players. Look at Tampa Bay. I think Tampa Bay, yes, they didn't win this year, but if you look at them, they don't stand out. The Giants, their roster doesn't stand out. In fact, there's probably 3 all-stars on the San Francisco Giants, and they just won 107 games. I think pitching, you need to get a deep bullpen, and you need to have 3 starting pitchers who are pretty good. But other than that, you can fill out your roster with grinded out type of guys who aren't going to strike out. That's my opinion. And I after watching this year's playoffs, that's the recipe to win.
And you know, coming off of what you're saying, that's what scares me about losing Freddie Freeman, because the Braves do not sign guys that cost that much. And I think Freddie Freeman deserves a huge contract.
Well, he won the MVP.
He's a guy that will want to stay. Yeah, I know. I think he's a guy that wants to stay, but the Braves don't do that. They will not give a huge contract. I think if they ever do give one,
it would be him.
It'll be to Freddie Freeman. Yeah. And Jackson Levins, viewer of the show, we were talking, he's a huge Braves fan too. And that's something that scares us about it, is he's going to be a huge contract. And what makes me sick is my prediction is if he doesn't come back, he's going to the LA Dodgers.
No shot.
I don't believe that, man.
I think the issue is they overpaid Acuna, whether we like to admit it or not. They did, dude. They won the World Series without him. Come on.
Oh, okay. If you're gonna put it in that perspective, but I think you got him for pretty cheap.
No, I mean, I don't know. What was it?
He's a $100 million guy. He hits the market easily. He's not a $100 million guy for the Braves. He's underpaid. I'll look up his contract right now. I think he's underpaid.
Underpaid?
I think they did the move. They were going to pay him young move, and I saw Bryce Harper doing his recruiting, sending out all the love to Freddie Freeman, all that stuff. So maybe he'll be a Philadelphia Philly, and they'll just continue to spend stupid money on hitters when they can't pitch the ball. But that makes sense on bringing the Phillies into it. So
Acuna's contract, is 8 years, $100 million, exactly $100 million.
All right, that's not an overpay. I thought it was higher. No, that's pretty solid.
Yeah, it's the whole Tatis thing. Obviously, he got paid way more, but they're trying to sign these guys young, these superstars.
Real young.
At the end of the day, it's a discount if they do pan out, or you get screwed. Scott Kingery's still making a lot of money for the Phillies.
Scott Kingery, Jesus.
That'll go down as one of the worst contracts in baseball.
Yep, Philadelphia sports are really good at that type of stuff, right?
Absolutely.
Shout out Ben.
I'm not even going to get into that. All right, we'll move on here. So this year, a lot of first-year coaches. I got a list of them here. You got Brandon Staley, okay? You got Urban Meyer. You got Arthur Smith, Robert Saleh. Am I saying that right? Saleh. And Dan Campbell and Nick Sirianni, right? Oh, sorry, and David Culley as well. So a list of them with not a lot of wins. Brandon, I'll let you go first here. What's your take on the first-year coaches, and are they underachieving? Are they doing exactly what you anticipate? Or are they overachieving?
Well, I mean, when you're a new coach outside of retirement, you're going to take on a pretty bad team. So, from the first half of the year, it's really tough for these new head coaches to, get their game plan and get their guys in there. So it's tough. You can't really look. It's like a rookie quarterback. You can't look at that first year. Now, that second year, yes, you can look. I think the second year matters. Look at Joe Judge. I think he'll get the can after this year. But Sirianni's actually, last game impressed me. I think he has the most wins for a first-year coach, if I'm not mistaken.
Brandon Staley has them.
Oh, okay, never mind. Okay, but still, he's up there. Sirianni's up there. And the Eagles haven't ran the ball. Can you imagine if they had a, not predictable offense moving forward? They actually might win a few games. It's the NFL. We learn week in, week out. Anyone could win. The Giants had no business even trying to beat the Chiefs. Dude, the Giants had no one. Blake Martinez and Jabril Peppers are out for the year. I swear to God, every Giants receiver is the softest person of all time. What do they have? Kadarius Toney has played 4 games. He's gotten injured all 4 games. I mean, it's got to be a record at this point. Kenny Galladay has played 2 games in 7 seasons and got paid $72 million. Like, what the hell? And Sterling Shepard, guy with 6 concussions, has glass hamstrings. It's so and I haven't even talked about Barkley. I haven't even gotten there. Holy shit. What in the world? Oh my God. This is why you don't overpay for players, because they get injured too easily nowadays. Baseball's a little different, but football, don't pay running backs. I hope they don't pay Barkley. At this point, they shouldn't, because they have a lot more holes on that team. That offensive line late, just, oh my gosh, how bad was it late? Now, I know they were down 3 starters, but it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating having your B and C team out there starting. Yeah, that's my soapbox. Sorry.
I was going to say, all right, back to first-year coaches here.
Sorry. I had.
Well, I'll hop in here. Brandon Staley, obviously starting off hot, beating a Washington football team that everybody had a lot of hype about. Then they lose the next game. Then they win 3 straight. So now they're sitting at 4-1, and then they've lost the past 2. So they're sitting at that 4-3 spot. So can he get the troops going again with the young quarterback, a great skill group over there? But everybody else, right? I want to see my man Dan get a win. Get a win. I think all that magic early, their magic was just playing teams close because they are bad. Jared Goff, though, watching that Eagles game, Zach, obviously you watched it. He was getting pressured nonstop. And all people are going to talk about is they need a quarterback. They need a quarterback. No quarterback surviving in what just happened to him. He was getting pressured nonstop. And they do have some guys to build around, which is a nice thing. Some younger guys as well. So I'm interested to see what they can do there. But a guy like who's the Falcons guy, Arthur Smith? Is that it?
Yeah.
They have that older core in some spots, or like the older quarterback, but then you have Kyle Pitts. So it'll be interesting to see how they'll manage that. I feel like the guys with the young teams are always the one you're like, all right, what can they do next year? What about these guys with the older teams? What can they do? I think the Jets are doing exactly what we thought they're going to do. The Texans are doing exactly what we thought they were going to do. So I think Sirianni, maybe he'll figure it out. The numbers thing on his head is so stupid. So stupid. And look, he ran the ball with his backups and had success. So imagine when Miles Sanders comes back. How long is that injury, Zach?
He's out 2 more weeks at least.
2 more weeks. So again, imagine when they get the starting running back, what they can do then. So that's all I'm really going to say about these starting, these first-year coaches. Urban, hey, just go to some darker bar where, the lights are a little dimmer. There's a lot of older people with the flip phone still. Stay out of these young bars, okay? Zach?
For me, I hate Dan Campbell. Of course you do. I just think he's just that fake hype guy, like super tough guy that played in the NFL.
Sam Barber.
Really? But really, I don't know. I remember when he took over Miami and he won the first game as the interim head coach, and like people were like saying that he was going to be this next big thing. And then nobody hired him, not even Miami. He went to New Orleans, was an assistant coach to Sean Payton. And then he gets his chance again. And his press conferences are just terrible. And he did surround himself with a good staff, but I think that team is super young. Defensively, they're terrible. But offensively, they have some good young weapons. Like Hawkinson, I think TJ Hawkinson is going to be one of the best tight ends.
He's been great.
Oh, God, he's so good. Jared Goff is not the problem in Detroit, and he keeps getting the blame for it. The Eagles, who haven't blitzed all season, blitzed all day against the Lions because they knew that they weren't going to do anything. They couldn't do anything. DeAndre Swift pretty much pulled himself out of the game after he fumbled. He looked terrible. There's just a couple of things with them that I just don't understand. I think Brandon Staley's been the most disappointing out of the first-year head coaches, and the only reason why I'm saying that is because I think he took over the most complete team and had a franchise quarterback that's young that lit it up. They have not looked good offensively, and in the week that they did look good offensively, the defense, which is Brandon Staley's side of the ball, looked terrible against the Browns. It was like 47-42 or something like that. So for me, the first year head coaches, it's hard to judge them in their first year. I do admit a lot of them, they don't even have their guys in there. Like the Eagles are making a lot of moves, right? They made a couple moves at the deadline, like just not bringing guys in. But Nick Sirianni is one of the most interesting. And I think he's gotten the most press because of his press conferences too. He says some weird things and he doesn't have a balanced offense at all. But even this week when he ran the ball, he only passed the ball 11 times.
Yeah, he didn't.
So you went from giving Hurts literally the whole game to literally taking it all away from him. And now you get more criticism on your quarterback. Like, oh, now he takes the game away from him against the Lions. Like, he just needs to figure out balance. He doesn't have any balance in his offense. He's either run heavy or he's pass heavy. And it's not going to work. It worked this week because the Lions were terrible. That was the worst NFL game I've seen all year. They looked so bad. They didn't look like they wanted to be there, and they were at home. So we'll see. But I think the Chargers do eventually figure it out. I think Brandon Staley's a good coach, and he was definitely highly touted, and he took the best job available, I think.
Yeah. All right. Well, moving on to college football. So college football playoff released their top 4. If you don't know, Georgia 1, Alabama 2, Michigan State 3, Oregon 4. Now, Cincinnati, obviously, in the previous rankings was 2. Oklahoma was always in there as well. But you have some of these teams here, like Michigan stays at 7 after losing to Michigan State, and Oklahoma's undefeated, and they get bumped to 8. And we talked about it earlier before the show. Wake Forest in the same conference as Clemson. If they were in this same spot, guess where Clemson would be? Right in that top 4. So obviously Oregon has a ugly loss on their resume. Alabama, they lost to, let's see where they have them ranked, the 14th ranked team. Okay. After Michigan State's undefeated and just beat the number 7 ranked team. Again, how all this works, I'm not sure. But fellas, what do you think? Zach, I'll let you go first. You're obviously an Oregon fan, so you're not complaining at all. But what do you see in this college football ranking? What's the committee thinking here with their picks?
Oh, I was complaining early because I saw the AP poll and it had Ohio State over Oregon. And I said, what is the point of playing these head-to-head matchups? If you're not going to, and I know you're an Ohio State fan, but I know what they're looking at, who's going to give us the best game in the playoffs. This is personally what I'm thinking. And they're saying that Ohio State, Bama, like you said, if Clemson is undefeated right now, where are they at? They're top 3. I feel like it's becoming a popularity contest, and that's why they got to open it up. They have to, because everyone wants Bama in. Bama could have 2 losses, and I still think they'd be in there. And I know that's a stretch to say because they don't have 2 losses. They'll probably never lose 2 games in a year. But it is just unbelievable to me that you can just throw a team like Cincinnati should be in it right now. Cincinnati should be at least the 4 team. I didn't think Oregon would be that high, personally. I thought they were going to be 5 or 6. They have the bad loss to Stanford. They always struggle. Like, it's always a good game against Stanford. But still, they lost to Stanford. And I'll be honest, like, I didn't picture them as the top 4 team. 5, 6, yeah, I think they're in there. I think it's just a down year overall. I think overall it's pretty much a down year, but Cincinnati deserves to be in the top 4, in my opinion.
Brandon?
All right, there are 3 teams with a top 10 win right now. Name them.
3 teams with a top 10 win: Michigan State, Oregon, and Texas A&M.
Cincinnati. In the top 10, I'm sorry. 3 teams. Sorry. There are 3 teams in the top 10 with a top 10 win right now. Alabama isn't one of them, and they have a loss, and they are ranked 2. I like Alabama. There is no reason they should be ranked 2nd. Michigan State should be ranked 2nd. I don't know who the hell voted Alabama number 2, but that's insane. Cincinnati has a better win than Alabama right now, and they haven't lost.
Yep.
I don't care the rest of their schedule. Alabama lost to a 2-loss Texas A&M team with a backup quarterback. Cincinnati deserves to be number 3. Michigan State deserves to be number 2. And Georgia's obviously number 1. That's not a question.
Not at all.
And then number 4, I'm going to be honest. I don't think Oregon should be there. I don't think
Except-
Ohio State should be there.
I feel like you would put Oklahoma there, right? I understand.
I think
At 8-0.
as bad as Oklahoma's been, they haven't lost. And I don't know why the committee likes to, what's the word? Punish teams for winning, if that makes any sense. Oklahoma hasn't looked good, but guess what? At the end of the day, a W is a W, and they hate that. They hate that. Oklahoma has beaten everyone that's been in front of them. No, they haven't won by 40. It doesn't really matter. You win the game. And Alabama hasn't looked that great. They haven't. They haven't looked like the Alabama of the past. And I think they're getting by on name recognition. Or Saban has a little, kind of Godfather type of a stranglehold on the playoff committee. The SEC bias is incredible. Kentucky is
I agree.
in the top 15. Texas A&M does not deserve to be in the top 15. I want to say Ole Miss is, I think, up there. Ole Miss stinks. Auburn are not that good. And they're all in the top, 15, I'm pretty sure. It's bad. It's really bad. And I think Big Ten football this year is probably better at the top end. The top end of the Big Ten is better than the SEC.
Right now, Auburn lost to a not top 25 Penn State team, right?
Auburn did, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Penn State is struggling as of late. I still think that's a good point. I still think Wisconsin would beat Ole Miss. I really do. I don't think Ole Miss is good. So my top 4 would be Georgia 1, Michigan State 2, Cincinnati 3, and then I'd put Oklahoma at 4.
Yeah, I think it's tough to take Oklahoma out when they're the team that has won and then they're still winning, just like Cincinnati. So again, what they're doing with all this, I think Ohio State's going to sneak in there only because they're going to have to play these teams. They're going to still play a top 10 Michigan. They're still going to have to play a Michigan State at some point. So if they could win out those, they're in. One of the Michigan State, very well. It's going to be between those two, Ohio State and Michigan State. Hopefully Michigan State doesn't slip up because I really do. Obviously, their last showing in the college football playoff sucked. Pretty sure they got smoked by Alabama. So if Michigan State or Ohio State make it, that's great for the Big Ten. Obviously, I'm a big Big Ten fan. Brandon, not a fan of West Coast football. Zach is a fan of West Coast football. So again, what the playoff committee does, there's still left in the season, probably 4 games, right? Before they start getting into conference.
Oklahoma's 9-0. So
they go to 12. Everybody else is 8, I think.
Yeah.
So Oklahoma must be coming close to their bye week here. But again, there's still time for craziness to happen. Ohio State might slip up here too and be out of the conversation. Cincinnati might keep on winning, and then the committee gets put in a bind there. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with all of that. So, fellas, that was pretty good there. You guys got any final thoughts?
Yeah, I'll go real fast. Cincinnati still has to play a 7-1 SMU and maybe in the championship. Or there are 2 teams. And Houston, there are 2 teams in their conference that are 7-1. So I'll tell you what, they still have opportunities to win, but I think they deserve to be in there. And I know we just talked about it, but my final thoughts are: I really believe Michigan State. I think they go undefeated. I watched that entire Michigan State game. That was the best college football game I've watched all year. And to be honest, it was probably the best college football I've watched in 3 years. It was an entertaining game. You love to see rivalries that actually come down to the last minute.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Big Ten football anyway, so I was entertained. But Michigan State's running back is the truth. And I really think they beat Ohio State. Ohio State, they're good, but I don't think they are elite. Nick, you're giving me the eyes. I don't think they're elite in years past. And I think this Michigan State team's better, to be honest. And I think they do run the table and finish undefeated.
All right. Well, I think Ohio State's offense has been clicking on all cylinders. I think the thing that's going to still worry me, which I saw in that Oregon loss, is can their defense stop another good offense? And again, it all depends on the quarterback play and all that stuff. The thing that sucks is Stroud's going to keep on developing, and those elite receivers are going to be gone. Now, Marvin Harrison Jr. doing very well as well, had a big spin move, better than Braxton Miller's, in my opinion, against Indiana 2 weeks ago as well. Well, I'll go real quick. Brandon and I are playing in a golf tournament on Saturday. Best ball, having two of my buddies from college come down. I am going to be very cocky about it. I know people buy a bunch of mulligans in these tournaments and stuff, but we kind of kicked butt last year and finished like 5th and caught a bunch of crap saying we were cheating, which I know out of all the teams, we did not cheat. All right. I saw some things going on in some of these other teams. So next week we'll have a full recap. Likely it's going to be Brandon blaming me for not landing anything in the fairway. But I'm pumped for it. Pumped to see some good buddies. Pumped to play some golf. Just pumped for a good time. It's going to be cold golf. So we'll see
40 degrees, Nick. Who has the tournament in November?
40. Guess what?
Alcohol.
We're going to be there, and we're going to have a great time. And the money's going to a great place. Zach?
Yeah, last thing, another big name coach got fired in college football. Gary Patterson from TCU got the hook. So every week since we've talked about it, there's been a new coach fired.
So I heard the story there. One of my coworkers was telling me it was pretty much like, hey, at the end of the year, we'd like to part ways. And he was kind of like, screw that, I'm out.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for him, they would not be where they are.
It's unbelievable. And I'm not saying like, I get it. Sometimes you have to go into a different directions. He's been there for a long time, big legacy there, but who's going there
exactly
to make it better?
Do they have someone in mind? Like who are you going to get better than the guy that built you?
Who's leaving to go to TCU?
You know what TCU would be without Gary Patterson? They would be Rice. They would be on par with Rice.
I didn't know you were getting specific.
They were a championship game away from being in the college football playoff a couple of years ago.
Yep, they beat Oregon in a bowl game 3 years ago with Justin Herbert.
So it's like, what is going on? What is TCU thinking? Because their basketball team's always buns. Their baseball teams is usually very good or competitive, but it's not every year. Football is the big dog there, and you fire the guy that built it all, or not fire, but talked about separating. I would do the same thing. I built this whole program. You guys are gonna do that? Screw you. I'm out. Like, that is unbelievable.
I saw that and I was reading about it, and they gave this like big like article about his legacy and everything. I'm like, what are these guys thinking? Like, what are you thinking here?
They're stupid. There has to be more.
The guy wants to stay, like wanted to stay there. Like he wanted to keep building it, like build on it.
Well, to be honest, TCU, besides the safety, I forget his name, who got drafted pretty high, and Jalen Reagor, they stink. Those guys stink in the pros, besides Andy Dalton.
Yeah, but
that's the pros.
LaDainian Tomlinson, Hall of Famer.
Yeah, but that's
Gary Patterson.
Under Gary Patterson.
No, he wasn't. He was not under Gary Patterson.
Who was he?
He wasn't.
All right, well, guess what? He went to TCU.
What I'm saying is that's
not I meant under Gary Patterson.
It doesn't. His job's not to be an NFL guy. His job's to be the coach at TCU.
I'm just saying his players haven't turned out to be anything special. I mean, Reagor would have got cut from the Caesar Rodney football team.
Oh god.
Oh, here we go.
Andy Dalton had a solid career. He didn't win a playoff game, but he brought the Bengals back. I mean, first round pick. I think Andy Dalton had a pretty solid pro career.
He's a below average quarterback in his career.
I mean, I'm just saying, him and AJ Green had some really good years in Cincinnati.
And it meant nothing.
Brandon, what's his name has been there since 2000?
Was LT drafted? LT was drafted prior to that, I'm pretty sure. Maybe not. 2002? What year?
See, I'll tell you in a second. I'm so right.
I think 2002. You are right.
2001.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Well, okay, so he wasn't recruited by him.
Yeah, sorry,
he wasn't.
Patterson was there in '98. he was the head coach in 2000. So he was there. LaDainian
Wow.
Tomlinson under the belt.
He wasn't the head coach who recruited.
So that means he
LP.
probably recruited him because head coaches don't go out and recruit. They have recruiting coordinators.
Yeah.
James Franklin recruits.
They have recruiting coordinators. Gary Patterson. Give it to me. Give it to me.
Questionable. That's questionable.
I'm just letting you know.
Questionable. We're both right.
All right. We'll agree to disagree there. So, all right. Well, everybody, my name's Nick.
I'm Brandon.
I'm Zach.
We'll see you guys next week. Week 10. We'll have a recap of the golf. Hopefully more great football will be played this weekend as well, so we can talk about it. Everybody have a good one.